You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that samurai are bad as hell. Stoic, proud, ready to cut down any schlubby idiot that may cross their path. They've graced the big screen in many forms and iterations, slashing through countless anime and manga no matter how out of place they may be sometimes. We even had the opportunity to become samurai ourselves, and you don't even have to buy a fedora or those cool, like, Morpheus glasses. Bushido Blade, Samurai Warriors, Samurai Showdown, Samurai's Destiny. This isn't even mentioning all the Ronin content out now. Ghost of Tsushima really proved itself to be a crowd pleaser, and I mean, just search Samurai in Steam and feast your eyes upon the plethora of games featuring the prolific Japanese warrior. What? But I'm not talking about Slippery Samurai, I'm talking about Way of the Samurai. My introduction to the series wasn't all that profound. I went to Blockbuster with my friend Justin. Say hi, Justin. Hey, dude. I then convinced Justin that he should rent the game, and then somehow I ended up borrowing it for like a week, and his mom said, hey, we have to return that fucking game, idiot. I don't know why I thought bogarting a game somebody else rented made any fucking sense. I don't even know what about the game stood out to me. It wasn't the promotion, because other than this one magazine scan, I don't think I even knew the game existed. It may have been around the time Rurouni Kenshin was out, and maybe my little kid brain just made that connection, but it wasn't like I was all too familiar with any form of samurai content. Way of the Samurai really is kind of an anomaly. Developed by Acquire of Tenchu and Tenchu fame, the game made its PS2 debut in 2002. It did so well that it spawned a sequel not a year later, then another sequel 5 years later, and then another 4 years or 7 years depending on how you look at it. It's kind of odd to me how many games exist in this series because it wasn't really bringing home the bacon. Or at least I don't think it was, because it's almost impossible to find any sales figures. And save for the first one, critics weren't really hooting and hollering its praises. Like, the fandom, while existent, isn't as prominent or vocal as, say, the Shenmue or the Half-Life crowd. Chances are you've never even heard about it before clicking on the video. Thank you, by the way. Don't be a stranger, bitch. Yet somehow, despite its relative obscurity, it's spanned nearly 2 decades now, and according to developers, they're still pretty optimistic about continued releases. I'm not really here to tell you why that is or about any of the behind-the-scenes stuff because I couldn't fucking find anything. All I know is I liked it a lot. It's a cool little guy. Way of the Samurai touts itself as a choose-your-own-adventure story taking place in the years following the fall of the Tokugawa shogunate. You play as default samurai baby boy, or more commonly known as Anthony Jr.
So what, no fucking ZD now?
The interesting thing about Way of the Samurai is you start the game a literal blank slate. As incidents unfold, you have the freedom to participate in whichever way you deem fit, or refuse to participate at all, really. So your decisions, or lack thereof, literally drive the story forward. But this isn't some boilerplate choose-your-own-adventure game. This isn't that dumbass game from Big starring Tom Hanks, White Boy Summers Sr.
Big up the youth, then where the king stand.
This game uses that choose-your-own-adventure structure as a launch-off point in which it blends elements of third-person action, RPG, open world, you name it, baby. But how do you play it? As you probably suspected, you got the sword, you swing the fucking sword. They swing the fucking sword. When you engage in a battle, you immediately lock on to the nearest opponent. Oh, I'm fighting 8 of the same dude? That's okay, because while in battle, only the enemy you're locked onto is able to attack you. They can, however, attack anybody who may be fighting alongside you, and should they accidentally swing in your vicinity, it can hit you and sometimes automatically lock you onto them. Yeah, you guessed it, the lock-on and camera both fucking suck. Battles are initiated in one of 2 ways. Either directly following after a cutscene that triggers an event battle, or by way of you deciding to slash some NPC going along their merry way. L1 draws your weapon, square initiates a quick light attack, triangle a heavier attack, X will make you hippity hop. You chain together buttons for different combos specific to the weapon you're using. Hey, you feel like being a nuisance? Sometimes in battle you're given the option to talk to your opponent by pressing circle, and you can tell them, hey, please stop hitting me, or you can call them a big ol' poopy bastard. Look at you, you fucking diaper baby. R1 blocks, but just spamming a block won't be enough. Holding back while you block will pull an enemy off balance, but the same applies to you as well. You can deflect an opponent's strong attacks by interrupting it with an attack of your own, but it has to be timed correctly. Same goes for performing an awase, or glowy light stop attack now, please. You can also cancel a block out by holding R1 and pressing square, which will kick through an opponent. You can even kick up some food, or some money. Don't feel like fighting? Hold R2 and hightail it the hell out of there. But not so fast, because, you know, you don't move so fast. And look, I know there's gonna be a lot of like specifics to the mechanics that I didn't really cover, but you should have noted by now that I'm not that good at games, so I don't understand any of that shit. Like a lot of games from this era, the physics and timing can be a little clumsy. In fact, very clumsy. Just go! It's a door! Jumping can be pretty inconsistent. For instance, when you're in battle, it's a little more exaggerated and floaty to compensate for your attacks. However, while your sword is sheathed, your fall accelerates to top speed almost immediately after you reach the apex of your jump. No matter how high you are, there's no fall damage either, so you just fucking plummet to the ground immediately. If you're intact in midair, however, you do all this irresponsible bullshit. Not to mention that when you do jump or try to like platform onto shit, you jump like an inch forward. So outside of battle, it's just generally not that useful. I mentioned in my GTA video that the map is relatively small and doesn't contain too many nooks or crannies to discover, but it all feels rather large considering you run like you're holding in a shit. Why does somebody not know how to flush a toilet after they've taken a shit? Like most games from this era, the camera is an inconsiderate prick that just decides what it wants to do whenever the fuck it wants to work. And it can be really tricky when walking in and out of buildings because it shifts to this semi-fixed camera angle, which can be really frustrating when you're in the middle of a fight. Like, oh yeah, cool, I didn't need to see him. But let's go back to the battles. Whenever you kill a dude, his sword will jab right into the ground. You can either kick it into your inventory or simply press square to pick it up properly. But if you're not kicking everything into your inventory, you're a fucking fool and a half. Most of the time, these common thugs are just going to be carrying a dull sword. However, sometimes they might have something of a little worth. If you're playing on one of the higher difficulties, you may even be lucky enough to encounter an enemy carrying a unique weapon like an axe, but that's still pretty rare. Every secondary character has their own personal weapons, and to put it simply, if you want the better weapons throughout the game, you have to play on the hard difficulty, where the odds of encountering the best swords and oddities are much, much higher. Taking a look at your inventory, you'll notice a name, stance, durability, attack, defense, and life. Attack and defense are pretty self-explanatory. Same goes for life, it's just a measure of how much it's adding onto your existing life bar. The stance will dictate a subset of combos that you're capable of learning with the sword, as well as varying speed and power. Durability refers to a number of bars that sit above your health that whenever it reaches its limit deteriorates the quality of the sword down a point. And if that number reaches 0, it sleeps with the fucking fishes, baby. So you can't just swing your sword all willy-nilly with no consequences. This forces you to approach each battle in a more tactical way so as not to just bust your own shit up. Motherfucker! Now while you continue to use the same sword throughout the game, finishing off an opponent with a strong attack will sometimes unlock a new move or add on to the previous combo. So learning moves is cool and all, but I want my sword to be stronger. If you're looking for a more surefire way to beef up your arsenal, you'll want to visit Dojima, the town blacksmith. You can ask him to increase your sword's sharpness, attack, or its flexibility, defense, or make it tougher, durability, or just tell him to do whatever he wants. Life, attack, and defense, something. Yeah, you get it. You can even ask him to deliver swords from your inventory because as you'll notice, you only have room to carry 3 swords, so at times a little inventory management is necessary. And you better pay your boy too, or else there will be hammer hell to pay. And killing Dojima negates plot points that he's crucial to, so it might not be in your best interest to murder him right off the bat. Because the game has 6 different endings, you're incentivized to replay the story through a system that ranks your playthrough. Like you can't just be a snarky little prick and kick everybody you see. With this, you'll unlock new faces and new outfits, giving you more options to live out your samurai power fantasy. There's even multiplayer where you get to control NPCs from the game and fight your friends. Except nobody's heard of this game in 2002, so I guess you're on your own, bud. The story follows the drama that ensues following a power struggle for control over Rokatsu Pass between 3 rival factions. The Kuro, led by Teshin Kuro, plan to evict the villagers and sell off the pass to the government to appease them and make a little money on the side. However, the Akadama clan, who are led by Kicho Kuro, the illegitimate son of Teshin, would rather fight off the military and thus stand in complete opposition of both the Kuro and the government. And then there are the villagers, caught in the middle of this samurai power struggle. As you wander onto the scene, it's up to you to decide how this story plays out. As you encounter characters and events throughout the story, say for instance the Subahachi kidnapping of Suzu, the fate of this pass has already been placed in your hands. More than likely your instinct is to save Suzu from the clutches of this boisterous philanderer, accept her offer to eat at her restaurant, then fight back against Kuro some more, save Dana Dana, yeah that's his name, accept Dojima's offer to fight for the village, save Suzu once again, kill the general and escape the conflict entirely. But that's just one ending. Where your allegiance lies in the decisions you make will alter which ending you receive. You could fight alongside the Kuro family, killing the general but dying alongside Teshin and the government still wins, or you join the Akadama rebellion, killing the general alongside Kicho and dying and the government still wins. By the time you've maneuvered your way into viewing the final true ending where you refuse to help the government, kill General Tamagawa, unite the 2 warring factions and bring peace to the land that you just happened to stumble upon, and then you claim his sword as a reward. Or maybe you could accept his offer and betray your allies. See you in hell, allies. If the music in this game sounds at all familiar, that's because composer Noriyuki Asakura was also responsible for the soundtrack in the Tenchu series. But more importantly, he was also responsible for the Rurouni Kenshin soundtrack. It really does its job of settling you into the environment, building suspense or despair when need be, or just giving you a moment to reflect on all the things you've encountered thus far. He blends a lot of acoustic guitar and piano into the soundscape that has these somber undertones to reflect the current state of the town and the samurai in general, which is kind of the whole theme of the game. And I just think it's a shame that this series is as obscure as it is, because I feel like it's one of the most overlooked soundtracks out there. I fucking love some of these character designs. Sure, the Kuro family don't have the most captivating outfits, especially not the henchmen, the same one over and over, and these dudes are cool though. And Subahachi is the crazy shirtless Yakuza badass. But all these other NPCs and characters have this weird, almost cyberpunk edge to them. Sengoku punk. Plus, just look at how fucking cool Kicho is. He's got this simple buzzed head like he don't got a goddamn care in the world, a squall jacket, and a mesh shirt. Hot. Karibe is the Organization 13 samurai, and his shark fin sword is like something 10-year-old me would have conjured up. Blonde white girl. The way these characters are presented too really molds the overall tone of the game. From the goofy grunts to the designs and the way you can troll literally everyone, there's this like cheekiness to all of it. It's a style and tone that isn't really inherent to samurai media, especially for films. Yojimbo's kind of silly, which is fitting because this game is basically just Yojimbo. But you can tell there's almost this like adolescent perspective to the way this game is carried.
What that means.
And this is true more so throughout the series and later installments. Over the years, it's really started to develop a legitimate style and identity. It's anything but a safe approach. I'm not trying to paint this picture of like a gaming classic, but I do think it's a game series that should attract the ire of more gamers. But this is going to be the first video in what I hope to be a retrospective on this off-kilter series. So I'm going to end this one on the hopes that you'll give this bad boy a chance if you haven't already. And stay tuned because I'm telling you, this nutty bitch is about to turn the heat up on your ass. Oh hey hi, it's me again. I think I'm just gonna start recording these like this from now on instead of fucking writing it out. I know I didn't do that for the last video, but the last video felt a little too personal for me to just jump in with my annoying ass fucking narration. But thank you guys again for all the support, especially with that last one. Some of y'all have said some really like meaningful shit to me, and it's kind of changed like my whole perspective on the things that I'm doing here. So again, thank you guys again so much for the support. Like, I can't tell you how much your feedback means to me, and I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And please share my shit, tell your fucking friends to sub, because I'm gonna keep doing this shit until I can't anymore. So y'all keep liking it and I'll keep stinking it, baby. I'll see y'all for the next one. Thank you guys.